Hello and welcome, everyone. So we're waiting for the speakers to come, and then we should be ready. Hey, Eda. Nice to see you here.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. We're a bit early, I guess, right?
Yeah, 2 minutes early so that everyone can actually settle down, prepare, get some water.
Awesome.
Welcome, Francesco. Nice to have you here.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hey there, Vitto. How are you? I see a lot of people here. Nice.
I'm doing great. Doing actually great. First Twitter space, and I'm super keen to have you guys here. Patrick as well.
First Twitter space also for me, Vitto. Let's get started.
Not at all. And then we have Casey. So Casey will be our co-host today. And in 1 minute, we will start. Hey, Patrick. Nice to see you here. How are you doing?
Hey, what's going on? I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Love your voice. Are you using a special mic?
No, this is just my phone. That's great that it sounds good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. Totally.
We got a whole crew here today. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, how many people are we?
This is fantastic. I mean, with such an amazing panel, I guess it makes sense. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. We also have Casey. Hey, Casey, welcome, our co-host for today.
Hello, GM. I am really excited to be here. Hi, Patrick. It's nice to meet you. Hi, Francisco. Hi, Ida. It's nice to meet you all, and I'm just super excited to be here. Thank you for hosting this, Vita.
My pleasure to have you here. So I think we're gonna wait for Alan, that should be our last speaker for today, and Albert to accept the speaker request, and then we can start. I have prepared the introduction.
I see we are already 350 people. Amazing.
Amazing. So Casey now will tweet a tweet with a sort of, question space. So if you folks have a question, just reply to that tweet and we're going to pin it on the top of the space so you can easily retrieve it. And we're going to try to answer all your questions. And of course, if you have any questions at all during the whole duration of the space, just raise your hand and we'll try to let you speak.
Good morning from the West Coast of the U.S. How's everybody doing?
Good morning, Albert.
Good morning.
Glad to have you here.
Glad to be here. This is exciting.
So here we go. We have Oliver, Bernie, Ellen. Everyone is here. Welcome, everyone.
What's up? Hey there. Yo.
Hey there, Oliver. How are you doing, guys?
Fine. What about you, Vito? Cassie, Oliver, how are you? How are you, audience? How is everyone going?
Fantastic. We have an amazing panel of speakers. We have an amazing audience. And we also have an introduction. So I'll proceed with the introduction because all the speakers are here. Hey, Ellen. Nice to see you here.
What's up?
Who's here? Hey, Ellen. Great. How about you? How are you doing?
Good. It's a little early for me and Albert. It's 8 a.m. here in California, but we're excited to be here.
Thanks for making it.
I'm chugging matcha right now and walking outside. Get the blood pumping.
So, welcome everyone in this Twitter space and thank you for being here. I am Vitto, your today's host, with a mythical co-host Casey to walk you through the most asked questions about Web3 nowadays. What is it? How to get into it? Which resources should you look for to become a blockchain and Web3 developer? And mostly, how to land a job in the industry. With me today, a pool of stunning speakers. We have Ada, Web3 developer and solution architect; Albert, dev advocate at Alchemy platform; Alan, dev advocate at Alchemy platform; Patrick, dev advocate at Chainlink; Francisco Chula, Docker captain; and Oliver Jumpert, probably the most skilled programmer I've ever met, and of course, content creator on Twitter; Bernie, growth manager, Odyssey DAO. Is this correct, Bernie?
Yes, it is. It can be.
Amazing. And of course, we have Casey, our co-host. Let's start by you, buddy. Who you are and how do you pay your bills?
Bet. It's awesome to be here. So, hello, everybody. I am Casey Ahmed. I am 23 years old from Toronto, Canada. I work for MusicCoin right now as a Web3 developer, and I also work part-time as a technical writer for Hashnode. I'm also the co-founder of Learn Web3 DAO, where we go through basically and teach you how to become a Web3 developer from start to finish. So that's really cool too. So those are my sort of three occupations: MusicCoin, Hashnode, and Learn Web3 DAO. And I'm also the co-host of this space, and I am so excited to be here, guys. I pinned a question tweet to the top, so if you have any questions to ask about me or about anyone here about the space in general, you can go ahead and ask that in the pin tweet at the top that says, if you have any questions, ask them here. And with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and let the next person introduce themselves.
Thank you a ton, Casey, for making it. Remember to follow him because his resources are amazing. And then Ada, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So hello, hi everybody. Thank you for having me. We have a great crowd over here. So my name is Eda. I have a background as a developer and been in technical sales for the past 2 years. I got into the Web3 space around summer last year, so it's been like 6-7 months of my journey. And I will actually be transitioning full time. I'm not announcing just yet, but end of the month I will be moving there soon. So keep an eye up for the updates. And yeah, that's from me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ada. And then we have Albert, dev advocate at Alchemy and eating matcha. What are you doing? Walking.
Yeah, I'm walking around a park outside of my house right now. Good morning. Thanks, Vitto. Hi, everyone. I'm Albert Hu. I go by that guy in tech in the metaverse. Similar to Ada, I got into kind of Web3 more seriously over the past half a year. But I found out about crypto back in 2016, 2017, and kind of like fell in love ever since. I have a background in software engineering, worked at various companies, most recently Samsara, which is an IoT development platform. But I just found myself the whole time while working at these other companies, just really excited by all the energy and development and investment going into crypto and Web3. And was super excited last year to actually start making content about crypto and NFTs and what's going on in the space. And then the people at Alchemy, including Alan, found my content and they were like, oh, hey, we could use a developer, an engineer who can kind of make content for engineers to talk about Alchemy and talk about the future of Web3 development and really grow the space. And I was super excited to do that. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on over the past couple months.
I love your energy, Albert. Thank you. And then also we have Alan, this headhunter for talents, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. So a little bit of background on me. I studied computer science in university. Actually graduated in the class of 2020, and immediately after graduating, joined on the Alchemy team. We had no concept of developer relations or developer experience when I was joining. We were actually transitioning from a closed beta version of the platform to self-serve. So initially kind of did all our whole docs, did a bunch of tutorials, did all the developer relations stuff, just didn't know that it had a name and what it was. But, doing that still at Alchemy, found Albert, found Vitto, pulled them into the Alchemy team. We'll probably be pulling some of you guys in too soon as you create your content and start to grow. But yeah, generally super excited to be here. And tell you guys a little bit more about Web3. I've been in this space for over a year and a half now.
And she definitely will. Thank you, Alan. And then we have Francisco as Docker captain for Docker. Makes sense.
Hey everyone, it's a pleasure to be in a Twitter space in general, and especially being in a Twitter space when I have two of my friends as a host and co-host, and finally I'm a guest, so I'm happy about that. Hi, I'm Francesco, 38 from Rome, Italy. I'm a Docker captain, but I'm also a daily.dev advocate, and I'm here. I think that I am the last experienced person here, but I really fall in love with Web3, so I can share my experience from a very noob point of view. But I'm doing a challenge of sharing Web3 content. I always love being connected with people, so I think I'm in the right place. Thank you, Vitto, for inviting me.
My pleasure, my immense pleasure. And before going forward, I would just take a second to notice that we are already 600 developers here. So if you have a second, just share this space and let everyone
Vitto,
know about it.
is he cutting out for everybody else too, or just me?
I can hear him.
Oh, okay, just me then, I guess.
Change your connection because you're the next one.
Okay. Oh, was that the? Here's Patrick. Go ahead. All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Patrick.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going,
The floor
everybody?
is yours.
My name is Patrick Collins. I'm a developer advocate on the Chainlink project, and I live, breathe, sleep, eat smart contracts, Web3, blockchain. I absolutely love this community. Absolutely love helping new developers in this space learn, grow, and yeah, just doing everything I can to make this space as successful as possible, and bring smart contracts, from being kind of this fun new thing where you can kind of do cute things, but really put them into the limelight where they have real value and can dominate and completely take over and re-landscape the current financial world and kind of all aspects of the world as we know it. So really excited to be here and be chatting about how to get into Web3 and how to start working into this wonderful, wonderful industry. So, and yeah, thanks again all for inviting me here. Excited to be on with such a fantastic panel. So,
My huge pleasure, and you're doing it great. Because if you haven't yet, go and watch the 16 hours video Patrick did. You everything about blockchain development. It was amazing. I owe you part of my career. And the other part probably is owed to Oliver, that is the next speaker to introduce himself. Go, Oliver.
Hey there, everybody. Awesome to be here. Incredible panel and also some incredible guests here. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Yeah, my name is Oliver. For everyone who doesn't know me yet, I create a lot of content on Twitter, especially on Web3 lately. Yeah, my first contact with crypto and blockchain was actually while working for Big Finance a few years back. Had the honor of leading some of the first projects for some European major banks. Well, they all flopped, but that's nothing too serious if you know how traditional finance works. But yeah, this got me hooked, and I'd say that I'm at least 90% as excited about all this thing as Patrick is, because it's simply hard to replicate your awesomeness for all this. And yeah, looking forward to the space. And looking forward to talking to each of you.
Here we go. Thank you, Oliver. And I said I really owe you part of my career as well, because he helped me so much with his resources. And the next one is Bernie, as said, growth manager at Odyssey DAO, an amazing project to teach people, developers, how to get into Web3.
Yo, friends, once again. So yeah, just as Vitto was saying, so I'm Bernie. I'm from Porto, Portugal. Okay, so for those who have no idea, is the tiny country side by side with Spain. And by the way, I have been working at Deloitte as a senior consultant over the past 3.5 years, helping billion-dollar banks go through their digital transformation programs. And I'm currently living to go full-time into Web3, where I really want to focus on DeFi and NFT projects. I'm currently the growth lead at Odyssey DAO, which is a DAO with a mission of onboarding the next 1 million people into Web3. And at the same time, I'm developing an NFT project for content creators with my brother, João, aka Abrams. Not necessarily my blood brother, but a great friend of mine who is here, also hearing you all. So, I'm here to help people onboard Web3.
Thank you so much, Bernie. And as said, the panel is amazing. The speakers are amazing. So share this space because lots of people will benefit from it, especially those that are doubtful about Web3. Because my next question, and it's for me, I won't really ask this question to Patrick and Oliver, but everyone can give his opinion, is what is Web3?
So super interesting question because you get many different answers depending on who you ask. You got to distinguish it a little. The Web3 we usually talk about as people who work in decentralized computing, so to say, and in crypto. Is actually the decentralization of the internet, which means building a lot of stuff not on centralized services like AWS or Microsoft Azure or even your friendly neighborhood hoster, but actually giving away control to the people, building open source software, letting it run on blockchains that aren't controlled by a single entity, but by multiple people through consensus. And the other part of it that we all as influencers often don't talk about that much is the initial vision of Web3, which was not only decentralization, but also to make the web more semantic, which means a lot of AI and ML. So if anyone is a fan of you're not left out. And actually bring as many people as possible onto the internet, because many of us are gifted. We don't have illnesses. We are not handicapped in any way, but there's still people out there who can't actually enjoy the internet as much as we do. And for the traditional term Web3, this is also a huge goal to board those people on through AR, VR, smart devices, and basically to get everyone to participate.
Super interesting. And especially it's interesting that you said that you get different answers depending on the kind of people you ask to. And that's exactly why I asked you and Patrick on what is Web3, because I think you have a little different perspective on it. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, no, I thought that was pretty good. Usually when people ask me what is Web3, I give kind of the more generic's not the right word, but I'll usually go into, okay, well, in order to understand Web3, let's understand Web 1 first, and then Web 2. So I usually say Web 1 is kind of this, the age of the internet where everything was served up on a static page. There wasn't a whole lot of interaction. It was just, here's my content, have fun, please look at it. Then we got to Web 2, which was kind of this evolution where now when you went online, you could not only see content, but you could interact with it, right? And this is the web that we know today. You can go on, you can go to YouTube, you can watch a video, right? You can like a comment, you can go on Twitter, you can leave a comment, you can post stuff. It's much more interactive. Now, Web 2 is dominated by centralized corporations and companies, right? All these interactions that we're doing are stored in someone's database, right? Someone's centralized database. And this is great, right? Because it allows for all this feature richness. It allows us to have all these features like comments, like likes, like all this stuff. But the downside is that it's not this community system anymore, right? We have this world where there's a centralized intermediary who can choose to censor us, who can choose to block us, who can, do unfair things to us. So Web3 is the new imagining of the web where we have all this feature richness, we have all these interactions, but it's community-led, community-owned, and done in a decentralized context, which has all these properties that are much, much better for the world. So that's basically what Web3 is, and it's powered by, of course, blockchain. So, yeah.
So we can say Web3 and blockchain is not just NFTs and cryptos.
100%. Yeah. Web3 is so much more. Whenever I think Web3, I really think that the ultimate vision of Web3 and of blockchain and is really these smart contracts, right? Because that's what we're here for. All of DeFi is just these smart contracts where we say, hey, we can now interact with each other in a financial sense without having to trust some third party intermediary, right? We remove this concept of trust and just know that the math is going to work, right? The logic is going to work. The code is going to work. So for me, the ultimate vision of Web3 is taking any agreement, any interaction with another person, and removing that, like, oh, what if they screw me? What if they screw me over? Interaction with another person, and removing that, like, oh, what if they screw me? What if they screw me over? Right? Or what if they take this down? Or what if I use this service and they kick me out? It removes that. Now everything is transparent because it's all on this blockchain. So
And
all
that's
of these
super.
are kind of the initial industries of this world, but we have so much more to go. So everyone here, you guys are all early. Welcome.
I love your energy, Patrick. Thank you so much. And I think Tom has a question about this. And on a note, just a quick note, is that my first goal, my main goal with these spaces is to remove a little bit of that narrative that Web3 and blockchain is all about speculation, NFTs, and making money, because there's so much more that we're not seeing yet, that people are not yet using, that are not yet exploiting, that we will see next years, in the years to come. Anyway, back to Tom. Do you have a question about this or an opinion? Okay. Anyway, hey, Casey?
I have a lot of questions in there, Vitto.
Tom? Okay, I'll go on with the next question. If anyone else has an opinion about this question of, what is Web3 and why is it important? My next question is, audience, if you already did join Web3, did you join because of the cryptocurrencies? Did you join to become rich? Or did you join because, you believe in the technology, you believe in this progression? What made you choose to start Web3? It's literally for anyone. Yeah, go Casey.
Yeah, actually, what got me to join, see, by the time I sort of got into Web3, I had just graduated from university, and I was sort of in a position where I was like, what do I do, right? And I always had this dream of, like, I want to be like one of the greats, right? I want to be like Elon Musk or whatever. And sort of the reason why I joined Web3 was with that in mind, because Web3 right now, the really cool thing about it that not a lot of people talk about is it's a frontier, right? With billions of dollars flowing into it. It's sort of a new sector of tech. And the cool part about having a new sector of tech is that you can have sort of like a meteoric rise in the space because everyone is just learning it, right? Almost everyone that I work with is sort of self-taught. They sort of self-taught themselves Web3. And it's really cool because this isn't like sort of like a Microsoft or a Google or a really big company in an older sector of tech where you come in as a junior dev and slowly crawl your way to the top. I think if you're in the audience right now, what you should be really excited about, and sort of what got me into it, is the fact that this space is new, right? This space is a space where a lot of universities haven't really caught up to teaching it yet, right? A lot of people are self-learning. There's a lot of opportunities because everyone is sort of getting in on this now. So the reason why I got into Web3 personally, even before I studied the technology, even before I learned all of these things, is because it's new. And anytime you have that frontier, a new sort of thing that's happening, that's really big, that has billions of dollars flowing into it, that has sort of almost a guaranteed future, there's just a lot of opportunities for you to be a thought leader, right? You can be a thought leader. You can be someone whose voice and opinions and work and sort of developer work matters a lot in the future. So if you're sort of that ambitious person, if you're in the audience here and you're that ambitious person, right? I think this space really could be for you if you really care about that.
Thank you, Casey. You're really, really right. There are plenty of opportunities for everyone, and Francesco probably knows that. Go, Fra.
By the way, we are about close to 800 people. Let's make 1,000. Come on.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I'm so happy about it.
Yes, the reason why I am in Web3, by the way, I haven't had any ticket to step into Web3. So let's say that I'm into Web3, but the main reason is that the ones that Casey said, they are all valid. My personal reason is that I'm super curious. So I like to learn new things. I like to learn how things work, like deeply in depth. And also, this is an opportunity for me as a content creator to do this in public, because when I started to learn Docker like 5 years ago, I was just alone in my house, studying all by myself. You could say a bit sad. That's it. And now I shared something. Instead, this time I want to make something public. So I want to learn, share, and I want to really insist into this process for like years, not days. Now I've been here for like, I think 1 month, but I want to really reiterate this for months and years. And I hope one day to become at least, I don't know, 1/10 expert as other people here. So this is my main reason. It's challenging, it's new, and I like to learn new things. That's it.
Thank you, Fra. And I'm so curious because in a couple of minutes, like in 5 to 10 minutes, we will start talking about the best roadmap to become a Web3 and blockchain developer, which resources to look through, how to land a job, and so on and so forth. And Francisco is going through an awful lot of resources, so I'm sure he will have, a lot of advices for you all. Anyway, Eda, why did you join the Web3 industry?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess my journey is a bit more different. And I like to talk about it because I think the narrative around the crypto and Web3 space is quite wrong. So I basically joined from a cryptocurrency point. I was like, okay, like everything is going up. Maybe I should kind of look into what these cryptocurrencies are, kind of trade on my own as well. And then I heard about these NFTs. I'm like, okay, maybe like not cryptocurrencies, but let's try this NFT thing. And for me, like buying my first NFT was an aha moment. I was like, okay, like this is just more than speculation and the price point. There's something very interesting about the technology. And that's when I kind of decided to really research and understand what it's all about. And yeah, I kind of found myself more digging deep and doing this 24/7 at some point. But it's really not from a point of technology, and I wish it were. But I really do think the narrative is more around the cryptocurrency and NFT side, and that's kind of what got me in. And yeah, there's a lot to change. When I got in, I did see like a lot of opportunity, as Casey mentioned, and also to Frost's point, like there's so many new technologies to learn about, which really did get me fascinating. But yeah, that's how I ended up here.
I can't wait anymore to reveal the world your next job, but yeah, you're so
Very soon.
everywhere. Benny, your turn.
Yo, so my journey to Web3 is very awkward because the first time I've ever heard about Bitcoin, it was perhaps 10 years ago. I was going through high school back then, so I'm 29 now. And I was finishing high school. And I remember a teacher of mine speaking about Bitcoin, this new digital currency that wanted to become a new way of paying things through the internet. But most of you perhaps don't remember that 10 years ago, it was the moment that we still had a lot of torrents. So all the internet was about downloading torrents. We had all the scandal about mega upload. And so it wasn't the best time to start looking into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was very fraudulent stuff and all of that. So for years, I didn't care about cryptocurrencies at all until perhaps 2 years ago or 3 years ago, me and João, as I spoke some minutes ago, we're trying to come up with a solution for newspapers because 2 to 3 years ago, there was this huge problem around the world about fake news and a lot of journalists that weren't being paid for their jobs, a lot of them being fired. And so we started to come up with an idea that we wanted to build some sort of decentralized newspaper, something where journalists could have some sort of equity or financial upside according to the future of the newspaper. newspaper. And suddenly the problem was that 2 to 3 years ago, it was too soon to come up with a decentralized newspaper. And so what it brought us to was to start to learn about Web3, decentralized things and all of that. And Web3, it wasn't a term 2 years ago. It was just crypto and all things about crypto. And I wasn't the guy into crypto. I was much more about technology and the tech and the decentralization power, or the power that comes with decentralization. So yes, my journey has been quite ups and downs. I had a lot of ups and downs from crypto to Web3 and all the techs. And recently with NFTs, NFTs, just like Eda was telling us, NFTs is really a wow moment. And so NFTs completely shocked me, and the amount of opportunities there is tremendous. So that's why currently I'm completely full-time 100 all in on this topic, because from the tech side to the financial side, it's stupendous the amount of opportunities right now. So yeah, that's it. That's my journey.
The decentralized newspaper is amazing. Are you still developing it?
No, unfortunately, we are not, because we even applied back then to Y Combinator. So as you can see, we were pretty soon to the space. And then at Deloitte, they opened these kind of innovation labs, and we applied to Deloitte too. But people thought it was a huge moonshot back then. But no, currently we are not working on that anymore. And yeah, so the project simply died. If you want to talk about it, we can go through it. It was like a Netflix, but so we wanted to present it like a Netflix, where you would have a lot of different articles, and we wanted to have a fun to help journalists to make independent investigation and a lot of that, because the problem with the newspaper industry is that there is a lot of conflict of interests.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but no, we are not working on that anymore, at least not right now.
Okay, we will take 10 minutes at the end of the space to talk more about it. But now we want Ellen to enter the show and speak about her experience with Web3.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting listening to everyone else's first introductions, because I think, surprisingly, we're all actually pretty different in what kind of hooked us in and why we joined. So I'm sort of the opposite of Ida here. I heard about kind of crypto and Ethereum and Bitcoin before, but I really started learning about it right when I started working at Alchemy. And so my introduction to the whole space was from a builder's perspective, from like what are people developing using this technology, as opposed to like what tokens are people interested in, what are people trading. So it's very much like grounds up, like, okay, what are people building and how are they using it to build really, really interesting, cool things. And the aha moment that I had with Web3 and crypto was actually during the pandemic when it came to vaccines. And the reason was because all of a sudden everyone needed this proof, and this is like proof of vaccination. Everyone needed this proof that they were vaccinated, and that information had to be verified and shared across the world. And what do we use? This little piece of flimsy paper that everyone loses. And there's no shared database between it. So if I get my first dose in New York, where I'm from, at CVS, and then get my second dose in San Francisco, where I live, at Walgreens, there's no shared database between them, and they're kind of siloed. So I have to be the bearer of that little flimsy piece of paper and say, yeah, I did get it. And so I just sort of had this odd moment that was like, shoot, they should really be using the blockchain to manage this entire vaccination system and this shared information. And obviously they don't, but that was definitely my aha moment of like, wow, this technology can be really powerful in ways that are hard to imagine right now. And there's just so much potential.
And I'm so curious to dig deeper into the relation between government and blockchain, but this is another topic we will talk about. Now we have Albert.
Thanks, Vitto. Yeah, I'll just add real quick. I've been a software engineer by profession, but I'm a creator, entertainer, teacher by heart. And one of the things that really picked up for me in the past year about Web3 that was so exciting was being able to marry those worlds together and to make a living off of it. And so one of the things I first did a couple months ago when I was really digging into NFTs and trying to learn more about DeFi as well, was just to roll my sleeves up and like get into it. And so I started making my own NFTs in the form of rap videos. And I started doing this like one rap video a day for 100 days challenge. I got up to like day 15, but I was minting each of these videos as NFTs just to see like what is the technology like, what is the user experience like, you know, what's the market like, how do you build a community? And the aha moment for me for NFTs specifically was when one of my rap videos sold, and this rap video was a rap about an existing NFT community. And so on like the first point was that it was amazing to see this community rally behind the song because they're like, oh wow, it's catchy, it's like a theme song. And then the second thing was after it had sold a first time and it sold for a second time and a third time, I was getting these like emails where it's like, hey, you got paid a royalty payment. And then when I dug into it, it's like this is actually defined in the code that you know you are getting paid out as a creator, as the original creator. The credits to this piece, you get paid out because of the code. It's not like a platform that's paying you 30%, you know, of the cut of the advertising money. It's like that's just going directly to you. So that was like crazy to me. Yeah, like I'm really excited about you know, everything in the space. I think the culture points that Patrick and Oliver had brought up earlier are huge about like the community owning this new development of the internet. And yeah, I have a rap video pinned on my bio. And that's like one of the examples of things that I love to do, like combine my learnings with Web3, with how to develop in the space, but also how do you become a creator? How do you chase your passions and make that a living?
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Albert, for your experience and your, you know, ideas on the space. I'm so curious to see what Uttam had to say about, you know, what is Web3 and why it matters. Uttam, can you hear us now? Okay, maybe I'll try again later on. But now we received something like, I don't know, tens of questions. And we selected the 6 most popular ones. Casey, you did the job. You asked the questions.
Yes. So the number one most popular question that we have, and this is coming from multiple people, so I didn't even write down any names. This is like 4 or 5 people asking. They're asking you, Vitto, is this space being recorded? So do you have that record feature ready?
Okay, shame on me. Shame on me. I didn't record the, the space, but I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. This is a UI issue, a UX issue. And is if you don't set, you know, record the space when you're creating the space, and then you set it like one day later, it says people won't be notified even if they set the reminder. So after 1,000 people set the reminder, I was super scared about, you know, pressing that button because it was like, maybe they set the reminder, but they won't be notified about the space. So next time it will record it. It will be recorded and also live, but this is a spoiler.
Next time. Oh, yeah, that is a spoiler. Yeah, we'll probably have more spaces. Okay, so that was number one most popular. Number two most popular comes from multiple people, comes from Ernesto in the audience right now, by the way. Hello, Ernesto, and multiple people. They want to know, how do I transition into Web3 as a newbie? You know, what should be learned? What are the prerequisites? There are a lot of questions out there from people who are sort of new to this and want to know what are the prereqs to start learning Web3, and then how do they transition, you know, as a newbie, as someone who maybe isn't super familiar with coding. So that's the number two most popular question. I'm not sure if anyone wants to take that right away, but that's number two.
And that's exactly my next question to the speakers here, or anyone that want to speak from the audience, and is, how do I get started as a Web3 developer, blockchain developer, coming from a Web2 background or coming from no programming background? So Bernie was the first. So first in, first out.
Vitto, just one thing here is that I want to speak for those who are non-tech. So I don't know if you allow me to do that, or instead if you want to focus on dev only. But what I'd say, yeah. Go ahead.
Go on, because I think there are lots of people that are non-tech people here that are just interested in Web3 and wants to know, is there any possibility for me that I'm not a developer to join the space?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to touch about. So a bit of context about me. So I've learned to code. I was very young, so like 16 years old, and I've learned a lot of different languages. Like I've started with a very electronics perspective. So it was assembly and then C, C++, Visual Basic, PHP. It was 10 years ago, the type of languages. But I lost a lot of track into development when JavaScript simply exploded because I was already in a consulting type of job, so I wasn't a developer there. So I lost a bit of track there. So nowadays, while I have a lot of tech background and I really understand tech, I am not a dev in my day to day. Okay, so I'm going through currently learning how to code smart contracts once again, but mostly how to use some Web3 no code tools. Okay, so this is a bit of a journey from someone who has a tech background and a tech foundation, but at the same time, I haven't been developing over the past couple of years. And for those who are non-tech, what I can tell you is that Web3 won't be just about development, okay? So there is a lot of different tasks, from community management to content creation to so many things like growth related. For example, you will have to write a lot of documentation too. You will have, once again, to deal with, nowadays it won't be to deal with employees, but it will be to deal with a community of people who may be spread around the globe, and you will have to come up with a strong culture and a quite good and solid type of mission. So there is still a lot of different things where we need a lot of non-tech people. And even on the Web3 no-code tools type of path, you can learn a lot about both Web2 no-code tools yet, because they are still very used on the Web3 landscape, but there is a huge increase on Web3 no-code tools. So a lot of things that you simply have to connect a lot of some type of path. You have toggle buttons, so it's very easy, and that's the type of path that perhaps will be the intersection between being a developer and non-tech, is how to come up or how to know how to use Web3 no-code tools, okay? But yeah, there is a lot of space for people from non-tech background to start digging in what Web3 offers from value proposition. For example, you can join a group of people who are trying to come up with an NFT collection and help them with the business model or the value proposition, how to launch it, how to go to the market, how to grow it. So a lot of different things, okay? And this is just my 2 cents on the topic, naturally.
And tech writers. We need an awful lot of tech writers because this space is super new and there is a lot to be written, a lot to be explained, a lot to be, told. And so if you're a tech writer, join Web3 just because you're a tech writer, right? So the next one will be Ada.
Yeah, sure. So the way I got in was before like getting in as a builder, I did have the chance to like use the technology. So I was using OpenSea. I did like set up my wallet, etc. So I do 100% recommend to first of all start using the technologies, start to understand what the landscape is and what it's all about before like getting in from a developer point. And after that, I did start the 100 Days of Code challenge in Web3, which I ended like 10 days ago. And I think that was really good for me because it did push me to like code every day to understand how the tech stack looks like. I know that Francesco is doing the challenge right now, so maybe I can pass it on to him to add more on this as well. But that 100 of days, like I did start from zero, just trying to understand, okay, what even is Solidity? So I would definitely recommend to just go out and to use the technology first, and then to start to research about the resources to get in as a developer. And I think, yeah, many of the people here have great resources to what like websites you can find those tutorials, etc. But yeah, like starting a challenge like that really helped me. And yeah, that's on me.
That's amazing, Ella. Thank you so much. I will take just a second first to recognize that we are over 800 people listening to this space. So well done, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing and thank you so much for talking about this. And the second thing is there is Sam Elamin there is a programmer with over 15 years of experience that spent the last year programming with Polkadot that wants, to share his take on this. So I will give him the speaker right. And hey, Sam, thank you for joining. Can you hear us? I can hear him. Anyone can?
He's still connecting.
Okay.
Usually it takes 10 seconds of, and you already on the seconds.
Okay. Hey, Sam.
I think he might be having issues connecting. It's still connecting for him.
It looks like everyone is having issues. So I'm trying to let the audience speak. You see that?
Because the space is so big.
We need an iPhone for everyone.
Okay, Sam, if you at any point in time you are up online and listening to us, just raise your hand. Utam, he can hear us and maybe he can speak. Let me see if we can add him as a speaker. Trying. So lots of... Okay, Utam, can you hear us and can you speak? Amazing. Welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, first of all. And we all are facing this space issue because 800 plus people are joining, and this is really crazy. So it's a great space. I just wanted to add my part of the Web3, like how I get into it. So, first of all, I am actually working as an engineer and product intern at Polygon Matic Network, which is scaling the Ethereum network. So, Web3 is all about, providing you the ownership. So, right now, if I ask you who you are, right? So, you would be saying, like, hey, I am Vito, or hey, I am Albert, right? But when I ask you to prove it, you will be showing me any ID issued by our government or any of the organization where you work or any other organization, right? So similarly, but in Web3, it will be providing you true ownership. So in this way, you don't all these government and organization will not be storing your identity. You will have all your own rights, right? So for example, Patrick said about crypto is providing you true ownership of your money, right? Similarly, NFT, what NFT is doing, it is providing you true ownership of your assets, right? So Web3 is all about providing you true ownership of your money or of your assets or of your data, right? So you don't have to rely on these organizations or any of the government, and you will be having all the power, right? And we were also discussing about how a developer can get into Web3, right? So first of all, it is definitely necessary to learn about Web2 first. So if you are not a developer, you should definitely not start with Web3. You should learn about how actually the web was working, as Patrick was explaining about Web1, Web2. So it's really important to learn about Web2 concepts as well, and then you will have a more understanding of what actually what was wrong in Web 2.0 and what is good in Web 3.0. And after that, you should definitely start with blockchain first, because if you are getting into Web 3 as a developer, you will be handling with blockchain, and you will be interacting with blockchain. So if you understand how the blockchain works, it will definitely help you, because you will be building on top of it, right? So definitely, if you are a web developer, want to get into this space, learn about blockchain first. Yep. Thank you.
100%. And also, I don't really understand when people speak about, Web 2 versus Web 3. No, it's Web 2 plus Web 3. I don't know if Casey maybe tweeted something like this. It was like, it's not Web 2 versus Web 3, it's Web 2 plus Web 3, because we're just integrating new technologies on, old technologies and expanding those and giving them new functionalities that can actually, give new features and so on and so forth. So there's not a fight going on. The fight is all in our heads, that because people are making money out of it, others are speculating, others are doing bad things. We feel free to judge even if we don't really understand the technology behind it. Anyway, thank you so much, Tom. You're so right. The next one is Francisco, and then I will take 10 minutes to go over all the requested people here. The next one will be Dev Abba. Go, Francesco. The floor is yours. And this is, copyright Casey that suggested to say this. The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think that this Web 2 versus Web 3 is just for engagement, but I can be wrong, but I don't think so. By the way, just to get started with Web3, I can give my honest point of view, because now I'll say something very unpopular. I hope that I'll not lose half of my followers. It's that I like math. So, for example, I like to understand things. I like to understand how things work, the boring theory, what is behind that, three algorithms, something like that. So usually I have two approaches to learn Web3. One is very theoretical, I can say. So I try to learn about blockchain in theory, and I like to read the docs. I get started with a video by Patrick, by the way. So thank you, Patrick, for that amazing video. You should share that video in this Twitter space, I think. And then I got my hands dirty, because I think that without exercise, without practice, you never get a real idea. So I made, for example, a live stream when I tried, for example, Crypto Zombies, which is a tutorial, an online tutorial to get started with Solidity. So I suggest to do both the things. So both the theory and the practice, and do it daily. For me, it worked. Now I am on this 100 days of Web3 challenge. I can say I share this. So instead of just giving up everything I'm doing and just learning Web3 and give up everything else, I just dedicate a fixed amount of time, 30 minutes, 40 minutes every single day. And it's working. It's working greatly for me. So I suggest to do this. Thank you, Vitto.
Thank you so much, Francesco. And if you want, he goes live usually doing challenges with Crypto Zombie or other Web3 platforms, and while learning and solving exercises and algorithms and Solidity stuff while live. Anyway, Casey.
Yes. Just quickly, I want to say something I think is just really important for sort of the audience members who are asking, like, how do I transition into Web3 as a newbie, and to sort of answer the question, like, what should you be learning? What are the number one tips you have? I'd say the number one tip I have to sort of, and just for a little bit of background, I graduated in April. I started learning Web3, and I got 2 jobs in Web3 in 4 months, right? So this is sort of where this tip is coming from. But my number one tip is to just be active in the Web3 community, right? No matter whether you're sort of in the technical space or not in the technical space, I found personally something that really helped me grow was I was part of all these developer groups. I'd sit in spaces like this, and then in those groups, in these spaces, I'd get opportunities for gigs to work on an NFT profile picture project, to do all of these things just because I was talking and networking with these people. And then that led from one thing to another, which led to me being able to get these jobs. So if you're in the audience right now, if you're like, I'm really not sure, how I should be approaching this, I'd say the number one tip I have is to be active in the community as you're learning this, right? As you're going through your journey. And that's what I just really wanted to say really quick. Also, a disclaimer, I didn't actually tweet that Web2, Web3 stuff. I don't think I've ever tweeted that. But yeah, just disclaimer there. I don't usually tweet that stuff. But yeah, if you're in the audience, if you're completely new, there's going to be so many terms and lingos and words like layer 2, etc. that you don't know, and just by being in the community, you will hear people talk about these things, and you will learn about these things, and you will run into opportunities. I promise you will run into opportunities for gigs if you're really active in this community. You'll run into opportunities for technical writing, etc., etc. So if you're new to this, just be active in the community. That's my number one tip, on top of all the learning that you're doing.
100%. This is gold, Casey, actually, because you talked about that you started in April and already got how many jobs requests?
I have 2 jobs now, and I get I have 2 on LinkedIn. I have 2 offers for full-time jobs as like developer jobs. I have multiple technical writing offers, and then I have a crap ton of a line of gigs that I have requests to do. And all of this is not only while I was learning all this stuff, I was really active in the community. I would sit in spaces for 4, 5, 6 hours. I joined all the developer groups. I do hackathons. I'd be really active, and that's sort of what led me to this.
That's crazy. This amount of requests in such a short amount of time is not comparable to what you obtain, just with Web2 technologies, because the market is super oversaturated, whereas Web3 is not. So you have plenty of possibilities. Albert, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think that's an amazing journey. Actually, it's my first time hearing about that background from Casey, so thanks for sharing that. I totally agree with those. Something I would add is like my framework is a 3-step process for getting into anything really, but this is how I really hammered into Web3 as well. Number 1 is use it. So just be familiar with the technologies out there. Like create a wallet, connect your wallet into these dApps and kind of poke around, see what the user experience is like. If you can, like set aside essentially like what I consider an education fund, like $100, buy some crypto, try and transfer it, try and buy something. So use it is step 1. Step 2 would be talk about it. So this could be in the form of, making content and publishing it. So writing a blog post, making a video, or just, in group chats and Discord, really engage with people who are in the community and understand like what's at the top of the mind of everybody who's doing this stuff. And then step 3 is then to build it. So once you actually start understanding, here's how it works, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do, here's what the people care about, then you start to identify these gaps where, we're just completely lacking in this tool, or, there's no way to do X, Y, and Z. So then you can start investigating that and building it yourself. And so I think like a really good example is when I first started using it, it's like, okay, get a wallet, make an NFT, and then try poking around different marketplaces, OpenSea, all this other stuff. And then talking about it, it's like, okay, let me share my experience. This is what the process was like. This is what the limitations were. It's like, oh, it's too expensive, or like there are these bugs. And then after having that understanding, then I could say, okay, wow, I'm going to go look up like, all right, how does this technology work under the hood? Shout out to Patrick. He has some amazing like full stack tutorials, hours long, but it's a complete course. Just like understanding, okay, what are the different architectures that you would have to know in this like new Web3 paradigm to build something like an NFT marketplace, or getting these contracts to tweak the royalties, or like where are the images actually stored. And then everything starts falling into place. And then I was like, okay, wow, okay, I can start by focusing on, building some smart contracts so I understand how the solidity actually works on Ethereum. Or I can go across chains and see like what are the differences between Flow and Solana and all this other stuff, and what are the trade-offs. And then you just slowly build up your knowledge like that. And then you keep doing that loop, and then you'll build your brand, you'll build your expertise, and everything else is like piece of cake from there.
And building your brand is so important nowadays, not only as a developer, but for anyone joining the ET, domain, or tech community. Anyway, I would like to take 10 minutes to go over with Casey the questions that you folks asked in the comments, and then leave the word to the people requesting to be speakers. Now, if you have something to add, if you have a question or anything, please just don't send me the request, but raise your hand, because otherwise I don't really know when you want to talk, or what's the topic of your question. Okay, so Casey, what's the next question? Is there anything about jobs and how to get a job in the Web3 industry?
Oh yes, there is. So this one comes from Manish. He's talking about how do I get an internship, and there are several people asking, how do I land a job in Web3? How do I get my first job? How do I find remote jobs? How do I find local jobs? There's a lot of questions about jobs. So I think a sentiment in the audience right now is you have a lot of people that are looking, and they're wondering what's our expertise. If we were to give them tips of how to find a job, what would we say in Web3?
Yeah, and that's my question to our speakers and everyone from the audience that wants to add something. Oliver, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Okay. So I think Casey already answered a huge part of it, and this is networking. Networking will bring you far further than anything else. And the things I'd like to add are actually build stuff. It doesn't matter how shitty you think your dApp or whatever it is. Put it on GitHub, share it, and show what you're capable of. I'm a hiring manager currently in a traditional industry, and your CV doesn't matter as much as your experience, because in Germany we have a saying, and it goes something like, well, paper is flexible and you can write down anything, but for me, it doesn't matter if your GitHub project is fully based on a tutorial. I'll find that out. But as soon as you start to give your own touch to it and you try to play around and make it yours, I will notice. And this is especially important. Build, build, build. Because hiring managers love to see that you're able to do the work. And depending on what jobs you actually aim at, they will be even more dependent on your projects or a little less. But there are many industries that currently work with Web3 that have pretty high standards of code, because blockchains are immutable, and depending on what you want to do, if it's to get into Solidity, etc., pp. You need to be able to deliver code. You need to show that you're capable of unit testing your code. You need to show that you're able to deploy that, and you need to be able to maintain that. And as soon as you're able to show that, you already have at least half a foot, if not a full foot, in the door. And networking does the rest. And Twitter, LinkedIn, all have amazing opportunities. And you don't usually need to provide the content that many of us here do. It doesn't need to be a super quality, because I also produce shit from time to time. Just share it, like 100 Days of Code. Put it out there and make people actually notice you. And this is already at least 60% of the way done. And the rest is probably nailing the interview, because you will get those opportunities. It's amazing. As soon as you put something at least a little reliable on LinkedIn, you get swarmed by recruiters, and you have to filter that out, but it works.
Thank you so much, Oliver. And while sharing this space with your family, friends, grandma, or whatever, mark these words. Your CV doesn't matter as much as your experience. Okay, Oliver Jumpers. Thank you. Anyway, Sam, it's your turn. Do you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Here we go. Welcome.
Hi.
So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for letting me speak. Just a bit of background about myself. Hi, I'm Sam. I've been working with technology. I've been writing code really for about 15 years. Started off doing websites and APIs, and then moved to big data. And for the past year, I've been mainly focused on blockchain. To the answer your question about, how do I get there? How do I get a job? Absolutely, your CV doesn't really matter. You have to show interest, and this advice isn't necessarily just for devs, right? Devs can go into GitHub and write some piece of code, do some tutorials, and then show that, here, look, I've got a passion for what you guys are building. But really, just go to the communities. The way I joined, I was working in data, and I looked across the blockchain space for projects that were building on data or building with data, and then that's how I got into Polkadot and Kylan. But for you can be like, okay, what do you do day to day, and what do you have experience in? What are you passionate about? What knowledge, what domain are you interested in? And then go and look at the blockchain space. Virtually every single chain right now is doing or trying to fix an existing problem. Right? No one's really creating a completely new problem and trying to fix it. DeFi internally is just trying to fix traditional finance. So look at what you do day to day and see if it applies in the blockchain space, and that'll be an easy ramp for you to come in. But if you want to learn how to code, there's loads of tutorials, and it doesn't necessarily have to be ETH or Solidity, right? There are other technologies out there that are different. I won't say better, but they're different. So you look at what you're comfortable in. But the most important really is just going out and reaching to people and Telegram and LinkedIn and saying, look, I'm passionate. At Kylan, we hired some people purely based on, what they've submitted through the communities, through community proposals, saying, look, can you build us a design, build us a graph and like a graphic, sorry. And they did it, and that's how they got hired. So really it's just showing interest and passion. And there's just a massive shortage. If IT had a massive shortage, blockchain has 10 times as much of that as shortage. So really just get into the space, get into projects that interest you.
Well said, Sam. And one of the most common questions I receive every single day is, I'm a Web2 developer, which skills are transferable to the Web3 world? And my answer is always the same. All of them. All of them. It doesn't really change. I mean, you're developing web stuff. You're just adding a library if you're doing just the front end, or you'll have to learn Solidity, but it's another skill, right? You're not filtering or removing your old skills because you don't need them anymore. You also need how to, to learn how to connect a database, because if you want to use things like Moralis to build your decentralized application, you will need to, know how databases work. Anyway, Uttam, I think he had a question, but then he crashed, so I will add as a speaker, but I'll leave Casey the floor once again.
Yes. Sorry, I've been talking a lot, but just on the note of jobs in Web3, I just want to quickly mention to anyone that's in the audience wondering, like, what kind of jobs could I get? I've seen, I'm not gonna lie, even just in my area, I've seen a lot. I've seen jobs for developer relations. I've seen jobs for Web3 marketing. I've seen jobs for whatever Web3 consultant is. I've seen technical writing jobs, right? There are so many non-developer jobs in Web3 right now, just because there are not a lot of people that know what Web3 is, right? So all of those positions are available to you. And a lot of these positions you do get from sort of building a brand and being sort of active in the community. And that's something that you could do. When it comes to the back-end developer jobs, so I do want to talk about this a bit, because I had a sort of a wake-up call early on in my career. My career is really short already, but really, really early on, I did not realize that to become like a back-end, Solidity developer, that it's actually harder than it looks. So when I first got an interview as a blockchain developer, as a Solidity developer, I thought, I minted an NFT, I made a D app, I made a cryptocurrency, and then I thought, like, I'm ready to do this interview. And I realized that a lot of these positions in these back-end positions in Web3 right now, I'm not sure if anyone agrees with me on the panel, but I feel like a lot of them aren't really junior friendly. A lot of the Solidity back-end positions are sort of tailored to sort of seniors or really experienced developers in the space, and that's because of the nature of the immutability of the smart contracts, right? A lot of people don't trust juniors to write their smart contracts. So I thought I was ready with all of those things, like making a DApp, but there was so much more in the interview, right? There was gas optimization, there was design patterns, there was cryptographic primitives, ecosystem tooling. There was so much. So when it comes to all the jobs I mentioned beforehand, with sort of the marketing, the consulting, and the developer advocacy, the technical writing, that's sort of another side of the same coin. But when it comes to the sort of back-end developer jobs, I just want to quickly tell everyone, this is just my experience. Anyone is free to jump in. But I really feel like the back-end role to be a senior dev or to be a Solidity dev in the space was not really super junior friendly. So when you're learning, when you're trying to get to that place, you're going to have to really work hard to sort of progress through the tracks and learn pretty much all of the advanced topics, as well as making sort of these more basic projects with like the NFT and the DApps and the cryptocurrencies. I sort of went on a tangent a little bit there, but does anyone on the audience sort of agree with me? Do you think like the back end roles in the space right now are not super junior friendly in industry right now?
I think that the problem we currently have is that most of those positions are actually, because I don't know it myself, because I can't reason about it. Most projects are still based on Ethereum, and Ethereum has this gas problem. And you won't see it as much on Polygon, for example, or on Binance Smart Chain as you see it on Ethereum. But if you don't write highly optimized code, and it cost me a majority of my learning path to actually learn to write optimized Solidity and not to learn the language, then you have, that's it. Because those Ethereum positions actually require you to put in a lot of work and to not screw it up. But one thing that might help is to actually, and you should always do that when applying for any position, get to know the project the company works on, and if they are on an alternative chain that is not as reliant on optimized code as Ethereum apps are currently, you might have a better chance. But yeah, the majority of positions are actually still on Ethereum, and this is where really senior devs are required, and juniors have nearly no chance.
I agree.
Yeah. Go on.
Sorry,
Yeah, I was actually going to take a little bit of a different route here. So I think optimizations and the gas fees are incredibly important, right? A more junior dev as Oliver was saying, is going to have a harder time making sure that the gas is efficient. But I think another thing that is even more important that groups care about even more than the optimizations is going to be security, right? If you're a massive DeFi protocol and you have, 200 million in assets under management, and you write one little bug, right? You flip, updating state to being, before you call an external smart contract, and you accidentally introduce, a reentrancy attack. For those of you who don't know, definitely Google reentrancy attack. It's one of the two most common attack spaces, reentrancy, and the other one being Oracle manipulation attacks. A lot of people know them as like flash loan attacks. But if you introduce one of those bugs, you've essentially ruined this, the protocol from one little mistake, right? And so I think that is both a concern that all these protocols have, but junior devs too, they can be, it can be scary for them to go up and say, hey, like, I'm going to build this crazy thing. Oh, but if I make this mistake, I've now ruined, 3 months of work. Now, even though I just said that and might have terrified people, don't let that discourage you, because this is why teams, teams are so important, right? Having a whole team dedicated to building these things is great. And if you can do, a ton of coding and then have somebody review your, two people's code in this space is going to be a lot better, right? So if two people are reviewing, I mean, this is just, kind of obvious, having people review your code is a good thing. So I think, to summarize, I think everyone's right. Like, it can be a little daunting. It can be a little scary to junior devs to get in when there are all these things going on, security and gas and all this stuff. But I also want to say, don't let it stop you. Don't let that hold you back, because that's the only way that you're going to learn how to get better. Running into those problems, running into, maybe you do code something and you accidentally introduce a reentrancy, problem. One of the team that you work with and the auditors that you work with should catch that, and then now you'll get that sixth sense to always kind of be on the lookout for this weird error, right? And it'll make you substantially better. So my thought there is keep coding. I also wanted to add a little bit on, how do I get a job? How do I get noticed in this space? Keep coding, do projects, as Oliver and everyone was saying, post them on GitHub. In my mind, I tell people all the time, your GitHub is a bigger indicator of a resume than your resume. If I'm looking at a dev, if I'm hiring a dev, I'm like, okay, cool. What have you worked on, right? Especially in this open source space, right? Where it's a very collaborative community and it's very different than a closed source company, right? You have to get used to working with other people. And to me, that's like, my favorite part of this space, because I get to work with so many people, right? I get to go to people's GitHubs. I get to make issues. I can say, hey, like, I would love it if you improve this. I can make a PR. I can improve it myself. I've done that many times. When there's a feature I don't like, I'll just make a PR, make it better. But yeah, so a lot of this backend stuff can be really daunting, but I think there's such high demand for good Solidity devs that grinding, sharpening your axe, getting better, getting stronger, there's so much demand that there is a space for you here, even if you're a junior developer. Even if you're a junior backend developer, there is space for you. You are welcomed here. We are going to build this future together. And I released an article on Medium if anybody wants to check it out. I also made a video on how to be a blockchain engineer. Talks about some of the different tools, different spaces. We can go into it more here if you want, but I've already chatted I'm starting to rant now, so I'm gonna shut up.
What is Patrick was super, super interesting. And that's actually, connects to my next question. That is, and it's probably the question that 90% of people in this space have, and is what are the best resources, like names and URLs of the platforms and websites and YouTube channels where I can learn how to become a Web3 developer, where I can learn about Web3.js, Ethers.js, Hardhat, Moralis, Solidity, or whatever. what are your favorite resources? And also, this is for the audience as well. If you started already your Web3 journey and you found a resource to be best than the others, like Patrick's video, well, you can share it and, raise your hand. Any of the speakers that want to catch this?
I mean, this is my favorite subject. Is it cool if I keep going?
Yeah. And then Francesco, now we have Casey.
All right, cool. So, this is one of my favorite questions. How do I become a blockchain engineer? How do I get into the space? What are the best resources? I think the first thing that I want everyone to do here, if they haven't done it yet, is understand why you want to be here. Why do you want to be here? Because when times get hard, when you're stuck on a bug and you're like, and you're smashing your face into your keyboard, just going, why don't you work? Because as software engineers, we all know that happens sometimes. Having that like why you can go back to is super important, right? Because that'll give you that motivation to push through those hard times. And it's those hard times that'll make you substantially better as a dev. So understand why you want to be here. Maybe it's because you love the idea of a decentralized future. You love the idea of these superior digital agreements. You love the idea of NFTs and having artists get paid for their art in a more fair manner. It doesn't matter. Just figure out your why. Why do you want to be here? Write it down. Write it on your whiteboard. I have it on a whiteboard. Write it down, tweet it out, whatever you want to do. Understand why. After you understand why, next step is to take a blockchain course or any type of learn Web3, Solidity, you Rust, Viper, I don't care, it doesn't matter. Just take one, right? And
Patrick, sorry for interrupting you, but we have to say bye to Oliver because he has to drop off. It's been a pleasure, Oliver. If he's still here, maybe he's discussing about the food he has to make.
Yo, Vitto, I have to hop out too, my man. Is that a problem?
Yeah. It's been a huge pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody here. I've learned a ton with you. So hope have a great day to all of you. Okay. Have a great Sunday and an excellent week. Bye-bye.
You too. And thank you for making it. See you on Twitter.
Bernie's out. Bye-bye.
Okay. And then we'll say bye to Oliver as well. But Patrick, go on, please.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Next thing is to take a course. I don't care what you take, just take one, right? And I have a list on dev.to called top 10 smart contract and Solidity developer learning resources. There's way more than that. And for me, I don't really care which one you pick, just do one, right? Some of my favorites are obviously, my 16-hour one, because that right now is my pride and glory. And it literally goes through kind of everything that you need, like start to finish. It goes over DeFi, NFTs, like what is Remix, what is Solidity. Absolutely love that course. And I'm working on a hard hat edition right now. Alpha leak right there. Crypto Zombies is fantastic. DAP University has great videos. Chain Shot is another learning platform that's great. Even boot camps, right? I've talked a lot about a lot of the free courses, but I think boot camps are also fantastic, right? You can learn all this stuff for free, but sometimes having that guide in hand is going to make you a lot faster. But maybe you want to take your own pace. Maybe you want to do your own thing. Whatever. Everyone learns differently, and there are tons of resources that approach learning differently. And just pick one that works best for you, and just go and do it. But yeah, once you take one of these courses, this is where I get even more animated, and I'll say, exit tutorial world. Exit, I'm a noob, I'm a beginner, I don't belong here, I'm an imposter, I'm not really. Once you take a tutorial, congratulations, you're a Web3 dev, you're a blockchain dev, you're a smart contract dev. I know a lot of people go, you don't need to pay attention to me, like, I'm beginning, I'm in the space. Awesome, that's where everybody starts. So exit that tutorial mindset, that imposter mindset. You're welcome. You are a part of the community. So use that knowledge to empower yourself to ask questions, engage with people, right? Because you're going to be so much stronger and more powerful and more dominant as a developer if you engage, if you ask questions, and that'll help, the community around us as well. So leave that tutorial. I call it tutorial hell, where you just like, hey, I've gone tutorial, and I don't actually know where to go next. Leave tutorial hell. Get out of there and do something. Do something with your newfound knowledge, right? That's gonna all these obstacles are gonna make you progress so much faster. So leave tutorial hell and do something. And what do I mean by do something? I mean join a hackathon, join a community, build a project. It doesn't matter. Do something with that. Apply it somewhere, right? Because maybe you take a tutorial and it doesn't teach you, how to, mint dynamic NFTs, right? And so that's something you're interested in. Do that as a project, right? Because you're going to learn so much more going through that thought process of like, well, how do I get the data? Well, how do I get to use it? Do I have the user pay for the gas? Do I pay for the gas? You're going to learn so much more. And there are a ton of fantastic hackathons that go on all the time. And you can learn so many incredibly bright people, right? ETH Denver is happening in February. ETH Global puts on events like every 3 months, it seems, that are always phenomenal. The Chainlink Hackathon that we recently put on was fantastic. There's an Avalanche Hackathon with Morales going on right now that's really fantastic. Join a hackathon, build some stuff, right? And then once you do that, you kind of reach this iterative process, right? Once you've done a hackathon, you've started to build up your project backlog, right? You're starting to get more and more confidence because all this space is about time behind the wheel. The more you do stuff, the stronger you're going to feel and the more you're going to know. So just keep working on stuff, keep having fun, keep asking questions. Something that I think a lot of people don't think about too much is, you want to have fun. Having fun is going to make it a lot easier to keep going, right? This is a serious space. Sure, we're working on a lot of serious stuff, but make sure you take time to have fun and enjoy what you're doing. Oh man, I just deployed this awesome project on GitHub. Look what it does. It's so cool. Be excited. Be happy. Like the community is going to help you rally with you, right? Because we're all excited for you. Because we are the community that's building this space, right? Anybody who does anything in this space, I am excited for you. I am happy for you. I am ready for you. But in any case, yeah, with that being said, once you kind of are getting these projects under your belt, right, that's when you just say you can do kind of whatever you want, right? You can start your own protocol. You can start applying to all these open Solidity positions. You can freelance. You can contribute. Every single one of these projects has a backlog of issues on their GitHub a mile long, right? And there's a ton of grants programs. So maybe you love the Uniswap protocol and you want to help it. And you're like, oh man, there's this crazy thing with Uniswap I want to improve. Jump into their GitHub, click one of the issues saying, hey, I'll do this for $1,000, for $10,000. Is that something that works? They might say yes, they might say no. Who cares? Try it.
Well said, Patrick. Well said. Practice over time and being curious are the key points to learn pretty much anything. Anyway, I will leave the words to Ellen as something to say about how to, where to find the best resources to become a Web3 developer.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly plug. I know Patrick just listed the roadmap for actually becoming a Web3 developer. A couple of concrete resources for that. Alchemy just helped co-launch Web3 University. So go check out web3.university. There's a bunch of like ad hoc tutorials on there. So not so much courses yet, but more like I want to learn X. There's a bunch of tutorials on there. Patrick's stuff is on there. Vitto stuff is on there. So lots of good resources there. And then there are a couple other boot camps. Chainshot is an awesome boot camp. BuildSpace has a weekend boot camp. So lots of resources. Alchemy has tons of tutorials on our docs too for very, very much so like beginners. People do them who have never ever coded before, let alone coded in Web3. So definitely lots of stuff out there. Patrick kind of listed out the roadmap, so follow his instructions.
100%. If you took notes about what Patrick and Ellen said, you have pretty much 99% of your Web3 development roadmap laid out. So just start developing projects with the platforms that Ellen said and the suggestions that Patrick gave you. So Casey, next questions. Let's try to be quick because we haven't much time left.
Yeah, I did pin a video at the top of the space by Gregory, and it's really, really good, and I recommend it. It's How to Become a Blockchain Developer in 2021. But Vitto, I was wondering what your thoughts are on just speeding. There are a lot of questions. Some of them are really short. I was wondering what your thoughts are on sort of speeding through the questions for the audience, because we have a lot.
100%. I'm so curious to know what the speakers have in store for us. So
Cool.
let's go for it. Have you
Sure.
selected the most popular ones?
Yeah, we answered the most popular ones. I think one question that we didn't answer is, let me just go back to my doc, is pretty much how to market yourself for like DevRel positions and how to put yourself in a good spot. So that was something that the audience wanted to know. They wanted to be like, how can, I think this question came from Abbas and someone else, how to market yourself in this space, how to make yourself more visible. That was one. And then other than that, we have like a bunch of like quick questions that could probably be answered in like a line or two. So I'm not sure if you want to go through that too, or if we're running out of time. It's up to you. But one big question was how to market yourself. A lot of people want to know how to make yourself visible in this space to sort of help you land your job.
Okay, I will try to answer this question with all the speakers. Just if you folks want to give it a quick shot on about, to answer how to market yourself in the domain or how to become a DevRel. In the space. Okay, here we go. Eda, let's go, and then Francesco.
Yeah, sure. And I can give a quick answer to this. So just as the point, like to get in as a developer in this space, it's more about to create your GitHub. We mentioned that GitHub is more important than your resume. What I feel in the DevRel world is the same goes with your blog or the content you put out there. So just like you would create an application and put it onto GitHub, I would highly recommend to choose a blogging platform to write about it. You can continue to write about it on Twitter and build a bit more of social presence on these different mediums. That really does get the interest, and it is really early. So once you kind of create that content, get noticed, you will definitely get more attention. But the one thing I would recommend to do is just start somewhere. Don't wait for perfect, right? Just write a blog post on like what you're thinking in the beginning, why you want to get in, and then try to make it more consistent, like weekly posts, maybe once every 2 weeks, etc. But that's really worked out for me, and I would highly recommend anyone looking into getting more of a DevRel role.
Thank you, Eda. What's your thought, Francesco?
Yeah, I'll be fast. I have been in the DevRel world for about half a year. I changed the company a couple of times. I think that, exactly what Alan said is it has been great. But I think the best thing to step into the DevRel world is to be honest, first of all, to yourself and also with your audience. So build the trust, say real things, be authentic, and build real connections with the people. So this is my very small tip that I think that it works. Usually I'm not a fan of like looking for a job, way more about attracting the job. And I think that for DevRel, it's even more important because in my opinion, it's better if a company reaches out to you because they are interested in what you share, in how you communicate. Because we say DevRel, but there are 100 types of DevRel roles, developer advocacy roles, because it really depends by the company. Some of them, they need some coding. Some of them just need something. Some of them, they don't like maybe how you communicate. So I suggest to, just talk honestly about what you like, what you really don't like. And good luck if you are interested into these topics.
Thank you, Francesco. And last one, Sam.
Hi. I'll try to be really quick. It's two things. One, if you're already a developer, right? There's don't be daunted by Web3. There's a lot of things that you're used to in your development world that just don't exist. The space is not as mature as you think. I've written a massive thread about it, so feel free to check it. But if you're already a developer, there's already a lot of value add that you can add, and you can market those skills as in software best practices. And the second point is, someone already mentioned it on the space before, which is copywriters, right? There's just so much need for education in this space, and devs, us devs, me personally, I'm horrible at documentation. I'm horrible at trying to teach people, how something works. I can teach other devs, but I can't teach someone who's not in tech very well. I'm just terrible at it, which is why I've tried to create this community of Substrate devs, to try and teach people how to code in Substrate, for example. So you can go and reach out for that. And what I'm telling new people coming in and saying, even if you're not a dev, go and try out all these tutorials, try out all these tasks, and if it doesn't work, raise what doesn't work, highlight it, because your frustrations will be felt by other people, and you highlighting the problems, literally just highlighting problems, is already a value add for teaching other people, right? So that's what I would say. Go in, try and do something, and if it doesn't work, tell us why it doesn't work. And again, doesn't necessarily have to be Solidity, it doesn't have to be any other blockchain. Focus on the problem rather than the underlying tool or blockchain, something that resonates with you, because that's what's going to last, not the underlying tech.
And thank you so much, Sam. You're very, very right. Thank you to Casey also, because it listed the 6 of the fastest questions from the audience that you asked. So Casey, do you want to go through them?
Yes, I do. Okay, so this first one comes from Shibelka, and I'm not sure, he or she asks, how important is it to know data structures and algorithms for a purely front-end developer role in Web3? And I'm going to go ahead and say it's not important, but anyone can jump in on this.
Yeah, I'll leave the word to the speakers. And Oliver, of course. I knew it. Go on, Oliver.
Okay, I know that many developers have a interesting relationship to data structures and algorithms, and let me just say you, most stuff that especially traditional companies ask for in interviews are just bullshit for front-end positions. Knowing them, however, and if you've ever coded a data structure from start to beginning, helps you in one exact thing. And this is not to learn how this exact data structure works, because yes, what you often read in here is right. There are libraries for this, but it helps you to get an understanding of algorithms, and you'll write many of them not as advanced as any advanced sorting algorithm, and definitely not as advanced as many tree structures you see out there, but in the end, you're still doing algorithms. And in the front end, well, sure, JavaScript is fast, and most browser engines are fast, but at some point you get to a point where you need to optimize, and where your React component mapping some form of array into other JSX elements doesn't do it anymore. And so this kind of algorithms is what you actually need. You need an understanding of the underlying fundamentals to see that there are often subtle but large differences in implementation. It's not about knowing how to freakingly reverse a black-red tree, that for sure. But you should know how algorithms work. This is my opinion, please.
Thank you, Oliver, for sure. It really depends. I mean, I know lots of front-end developers that know nothing about data structure and algorithms, but I also know a lot of front-end developers that know their stuff about data structures and algorithms, and they're on another level. I mean, it really gives you the freedom to change and tweak your code in a way that's faster, optimized, more readable, better. So anyone else? Otherwise, we will go forward with the next question.
We can move on to the next one. If anyone else has anything to add. I guess I'm in the minority. I definitely, when I do front-end work, I definitely don't really use DSA, but it's nice to see other people do. Our next one comes from, actually, this is a repeat of a question that happened before. We have a lot of new people asking this question that just joined the space. And sort of Jake was the last one to ask this question, but Jake is saying, bro, Vitto, where can I access the recorded version of this? So perhaps you want to answer this question for all the new people that joined.
Are you asking this again because you want to put shame on me?
No, there's just a lot of new people. It's a big space, so.
Okay, so apparently we have a way to, retrieve the recording of the space if it's not been recorded. But no, I didn't push record because, UX. Long story short, I didn't.
Yes. So at least for the next space, look up for the recording, guys.
Yeah.
Jake, all these people that are asking this question, it's not here for now. The next one comes from Arva.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if I'm butchering your name, but they're asking, are there a lot of internships in Web3?
Okay. I think Patrick, Albert, and Alan might have an answer to this question.
Yeah, I have an opinionated question or answer to this question. It's a great question. So, in my mind, your internship is going to be being a part of the Web3 community, being a part of this space, and just jumping in and joining and kind of doing a lot of the stuff that I was talking about before, right? If you see an issue on a GitHub and you make a PR and you successfully help a protocol, I mean that's basically it. So people who are looking for kind of this the more structured internship world, I haven't really seen it so much here, and I kind of like that. I like how this space is this very open, community-driven, collaborative space where you can just jump on a GitHub. You can make a PR. You can go to GitHub grants. You can join a hackathon. I think in my mind, those are all going to be the best experiences for you, anyways, right? Because you're going to do projects that you think are interesting. You're going to learn things that you think are interesting. And that's really going to be the way you get up to speed fastest. So to summarize, yeah, I haven't really seen kind of these traditional internship roles, but I think just being a member of the community and jumping in is going to be the best internship-y experience for you anyways.
100%. Anyone else want to share his experience? Or Sam, probably.
Hi guys. Again, I'll try to be really quick. The idea of internships where you go and apply to an office just doesn't apply in the Web3 space. It's all decentralized pretty much. Most of the jobs I've seen are remote. If you want to get into it, and I'm not speaking just directly for devs, you can go to GitHub, look at the issues, clone the code, and literally try and add value there. When something doesn't work, you can point out why it doesn't work and then send the PR. But from if you're in any other domain, if you're in other space, not just necessarily writing code, you can do some QA, you can just do some copyright, you can do graphs, you can try and go into project management. A lot of these projects that are building in this space, it's just a complete mess. All the management's being done in Telegram, right? So there's a lot of software maturity or software processes that you are used to in your work that you can add. People want this. They want some form of management. So you can get in touch, see if a project you're interested in has an ambassador role, right? You can say, look, I want to help out. They're not called interns, they're called ambassadors, but essentially they're the same thing. You want to help a project you believe in. And then once they identify the value add you bring in, that's when you become a core team member, right? It's just literally finding something you're passionate about. It really comes down to what you're passionate about, what the space, the problem you're trying to fix, and everything else kind of falls into place.
Thank you so much, Sam. Yeah, you're right. Bringing value, especially in this moment where the industry is exploring and trying new things, bringing your expertise, your point of view to new inventions, projects, and so on and so forth, as very, very important. And it's not too hard to join a Web3 company nowadays because everything is super decentralized and also in the way people are acting, right? And so contacting people from the industry, joining their companies, helping them, developing new projects is something super possible to be done. Anyway, I think Keisha has a question that's trying to ask, but Twitter is rushing for her. Hey, Keisha.
Hey guys, thank you so much. Yes, that was horrible. I kept getting kicked out. But I just wanted to just piggyback off of, I guess, kind of on another angle, because you've mentioned technical writing in various capacities, and you guys have been very thorough and awesome about, especially for the technical developers and engineers, how they can really assert themselves. But I guess just to kind of like summarize and recap, maybe for people like myself who are technical, writers and more into like DevRel and stuff like that, that the best way for us to kind of assert ourselves in this space would be through, again, creating that content, so like the blogs and stuff like that. Also, I guess finding open source documentation or finding dApps that we can document or provide documentation for. Um, and I know that I'm stating this, but I'm really asking the question: is this the proper way to go about it? And then beyond that, like in LinkedIn and stuff like that, is it, when trying to connect with and be aligned with these Web3 companies, is it as simple as putting Web3 in your header? Is that something that you should be, kind of like branding in terms of like your different profiles across the spaces, whether that be, GitHub, LinkedIn, whatever the case may be? Um, like, I guess I'm just trying to figure out, like, for, like I said, people like myself, what exactly are those, what does that look like in terms of like finding alignment with, and then also too, um is there any conversation around, or how does one, I guess, vet the validity of different organizations, right? I would imagine there might be, some organizations and entities that are less official than others, that may also kind of like crop up in these spaces, and how does a person like, decipher those type of things?
So I'll give my take on these. And the thing is that the community, the Web3 community, is super small. So just starting creating content and sharing these on Twitter, for example, where the crypto space is all, will help you so much, because inevitably people from the space will see your content, will see your blog posts, will see your documentation, will see your contributions or whatever you're doing as a ex Web3, and then they will contact you. Now, there are YouTubers with 400 subscribers that are doing massively great in the community, because 400 subscribers, turns out, is like 10% of total developers in Web3, for example. Okay, so just by interacting with the Web3 community, you open an endless amount of opportunities. But I will leave Albert to speak about it a bit more.
Yeah, just add my 2 cents here. I think of it, and I guess building your brand for developer advocacy in two ways. One is going broad and one is going deep. And I think it's important to do a little bit of both, but that's kind of how I bucket maybe my different activities. And so when I think about going broad, that's kind of like meeting most people where they're at when they're first entering the space. So hosting a space like this, for example, would be an activity that helps with going broad and just widening the market of people who are interested in Web3 development and things like that. And what this does is it creates this like meeting ground for everybody to discuss and meet each other and build some initial relationships. And then going deep would be like really digging into the details of like, okay, now that you're here, now that you're interested, how do we take it to the next step, build up a very specific skill, build on a specific blockchain, provide documentation for a step of the process where people like have a lot of issues. And an example of this is I made this video on like developing on the Flow blockchain. It's like very, very niche. It's like one of these, newer blockchains that has, a very specific trade-off for building NFTs and things like that. And it's a little bit harder to get started if you have some experience with Solidity and Ethereum. So it's like make a video about that. And then what I noticed is that when you go deep, that specific community that might be smaller, like Vito's saying, like the market's so new, everybody in that community ends up pushing you forward because they're like, oh my gosh, we've needed someone to make like documentation like this, but we're so small and like we haven't had that support. And so when you go broad, like doing a space like this, you get support from all these people who are like interested in the generalities, and that's great. And then when you go deep, you also get all the support from that very niche community who are like huge fans, and that's also great. So it's like two different ways to think about what types of audience you want to reach out to.
And if you're into content creation or online presence, you'll surely know that niching down is the first thing you should do, because going broad is so hard. You need huge numbers, you need a huge power of sharing, people reading your content and stuff like that. But when you go niche, then you'll find those 400, 500, 1000, 10,000 people looking for your content, waiting for your content, enjoying your content. And that's key, because those will be real fans, those will be real people interested in your content. Because if you post about love every day, you'll have hundreds of thousands of followers, but none of them will ever be interested in what you're doing, because the thing you're posting are so broad, so generic. And so it's key to niche down. Francesco, last answer, and then Casey, if you want to pose another question, and then we'll wrap up the space. If you have anything to say, raise your hand. Sam, I saw you.
Yeah, I just want to say that I really totally agree with this niching down, because creating content is not easy at all, especially when you get started. Maybe also because we want to have a life in the meanwhile. So maybe we have family problems, health problems, money problems. So the best solution, also from your selfish point of view, is to don't stop everything you're doing and just creating content for free. I mean, you have to eat and stay somewhere. So it's not just about the audience, of course, that's true. I just want to give my 2 cents think about from your personal point of view. So be a little bit selfish. So share about just one topic, so you save your time, your life, especially if you're doing this for free, which is, I think, that 99% of the people who start creating content. So it's better for everyone, but especially for you, to just niche down. And of course, also what you said, Vitto. Amazing.
Thank you, Fra.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Keisha. Does it answer your question? Amazing.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Great to hear that. Patrick, was it a quick one or?
Yeah, just real quick to add to that. The amount of times that I've gone back on my own content and reread what I've written so that I remember how to do something is insane. So oftentimes, yeah, like do it selfishly, write something, make a piece of content for you so that you can go reference it later. I've done that a million times.
100%. 100%. This is key. Same here. Every time I write something, after like 2 days, I forgot everything I did, and I have to go back to my content to understand what the hell is going on. Anyway, Chris, so happy to have you here.
Thanks, Vitto. I just wanted to ask a quick question, because you're closing the space. So I think Oliver mentioned it before, is that if you want to learn Solidity, yes, you can learn the syntax, but creating really well contracts is something that you have mastered over time. And now my question is regarding all those SDK platforms like Third Web and all the others. They're abstracting away the writing of the contract. You can use JavaScript, Python, I think Go as well, to write in the language that you are already proficient. Now my question is this a good idea to go into this direction and use those platforms in the beginning? Because you're not learning writing Solidity, so you're not doing the actual contract, or you're not learning the basics, but you're taking a shortcut. Is it helpful for a career in future or not? What's your opinion?
I'm very, very opinionated on this, so Oliver, go on.
Well, yes and no. I love those answers. Here's the thing. It usually depends what you actually aim to become, and on your use case. One thing, I've developed websites for very, very, very long time, but to be honest, the next time I do my website, I'll probably do it with Webflow, and this has nothing to do with that I'm not capable of developing a website. It just has something to do with time. Because the next time I'll do it, it'll have something to do with earning money. And this is the same for tools like Third Web. If you learn to develop smart contracts, of course, I expect that you have at least once implemented an ERC20 token and everything else. But for a project, yeah, of course. If you're on a budget or whatever, use them because they are all open source. And if you've learned Solidity well enough, you're definitely capable to audit them yourselves and to see whether what you're using there is worth it or whether you should do it yourself. So they serve a different purpose. And it's, even in my opinion, perfectly fine to start with that and just use Third Web to deploy your first NFT and then play around with it, as other speakers have already stated here. Learn the space. You don't need to do it. Your first smart contract doesn't need to be an NFT. Use something else, but over time, start to do it yourself. And even then, it's perfectly fine to use such pre-made contracts to just save time and money, especially in business, because it's something completely different.
Thank you, Oliver, for your point of view. And now we have Sam. Last answer, and probably we'll wrap up the space.
Hey guys, it's a really good question. I see it as it's basically should I use something that saves me time, right? Oliver said it perfectly with Webflow, but some people might want to learn Git through a UI when they're new, something to really abstract away the knowledge. And for me, it's a yes or no again as well, but I'm leaning towards a yes just because go with the lean process, go with what saves you time, and as long as you're aware that this is temporary for you to achieve a certain thing, and then you're actually going to have to learn the underlying tech. It's just if you don't, you have to accept the risk that you're limited to building with what this time saver gives you, right? If you want to build something and it goes against this framework, this UI, whatever you want, it's limiting you, and you can only build it with what they enable you to do. Rather, if you then learn the underlying framework, then you have more flexibility. So it really is up to you. For me, as someone, if I'm new to say something, I would use whatever saves me the most time. That's all.
Thank you so much, Sam. Now I will let Casey say something that happened that is huge. Go, Casey. Break the news.
Before I even mention this, I want to say, guys, if you asked a question and we couldn't answer it, I'm sorry. We got so many questions. You guys absolutely killed it, right? We were the rank #1 Twitter space for a while there, towards earlier in the space, and we are now still at #3 in terms of viewership on Twitter Spaces. Guys, you guys asked so many questions. I tried my best to go through as much as I could and pick the best ones, but you guys, like, there's just too many questions. You guys killed it to just a ridiculous degree. You guys literally broke Twitter. Vitto, I have to tell you that you are rank 1. This is an amazing host. We were rank 1. I really want to thank the audience. I see so many people in the audience that I recognize. Kevin, Suhail, Brissa, I see Joel, Abbas, Akbu, so many, Sajel, so many people, and Yash, so many people that I recognize that are coming out to support. You guys absolutely killed it. Rank 1 Twitter space, and from our tech Twitter community. Vitto, what do you have to say on that?
I'm astonished. Rank 1st Twitter space of the day. It's crazy. Okay, now we are 3rd. I want to thank you, everyone, all the speakers, all the people that asked questions, all the people from the audience that joined us to give their 2 cents, telling and bringing their experience in Web3. And this is what Web3 is. It's a decentralized space. It's a space owned by the community that, reunite in spaces like this one to speak about what the community, what this domain will look like in a year from now. So I will leave the speakers say their last words. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you, Suhail. Thank you, Sri. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, seriously, they all are Ernesto. Thank you, everyone. It's been a blast. So speakers, if you have something to say bye to the audience or whatever, just go on.
I can go.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You raise it.
I just want to drop some compliments and say that this Twitter space has been really amazing. I really loved that. I remember that Vitto said, oh, this will last like 30 minutes or 1 hour. So we proved him that he was wrong. Thank you so much. Amazing people, Vitto, Casey, Oliver. Patrick, we need to keep in touch because I want to talk with you. Chris, Eda, Albert, Sam, Alan, Kevin, Swile. We are really too many. So it's really great. And I think that we can even do better next week. We are just getting started. So now that Vitto has an iPhone, I think that we can do a lot of things.
Yeah, for example, we'll record space.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been really amazing, and I learned a lot in this Twitter space.
Thank you so much. So Oliver, Patrick, Eda, Albert, Ellen, anyone?
Hi guys, I just want to say thank you again, and I really think these spaces are very, very useful. We as a community, we're on the vanguard. We're the pioneers. We're the very first people building in these for wide adoption. Absolutely, these conversations are necessary. So don't be afraid to fail at anything. I always say to people in my team, you can never fail, you can only learn. So keep trying, keep talking, and keep doing new things, right? This is absolutely amazing. So try and continue having these conversations.
Thank you so much, Sam. Anyone else wants to add something, Casey?
Yes, I just again want to say that this community is the best community ever. I just want to thank everyone again. I'm looking down and I'm seeing people who are here the full 2 hours just listening to this space and asking questions and contributing. And I don't have anything to show. I don't have anything to promote. I just want to say you guys are the best. This is the best community ever. I see all of you guys in the audience. I'm scrolling through, seeing familiar faces. I see you, Yash. I'm just so in love with this community, and I just want to say thank you. I'm so grateful. This community changed my life, and I just love all of you guys. And everyone up here talking too, I love all of you too. Thank you guys so much.
Let me take a second to thank Casey from the bottom of my heart for helping me setting up this space, helping me with thousands of tips on how to handle these, on how to ask questions, on how to do pretty much anything. Thank you so much, Casey. And if you haven't already, go and follow him, because it will be the best follow you'll ever, give. So
I love you, Vitto.
And thank you, Eda. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Oliver. That's probably eating. And thank you, Chris and Sam and everyone else in the space.
Just wanted
Thanks,
to say
Vitto.
real quick, I'm so excited to see what everybody here is going to build. I think we're just entering this new generation of, future technology. It's so exciting. Please tag us in all of your discussions. Like, we would love to help in any way we can. That's what we're here for. So really excited for that. And thanks for the space, Vitto and Casey.
Thank you, Albert, for making it. Eda.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Vitto. Thank you, Casey, and everyone here for both speaking and listening. It was a great space as well. I definitely learned a lot. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Eda. Go on, Chris.
Thank you, Vitto. Thank you, Casey, for having this space. And we need more of those. We need to talk more about it. And I think it's a super exciting time in front of us, because you don't get often the chance in life to be part of something when it starts, when it's just in the beginning. So Web 1, Web 2 was there and is still going on, but Web 3 is something new. And we can all create together collectively this new thing. So I'm happy that we are all part of it. And yeah, looking forward to an amazing year. Thanks.
Thank you again. Okay, that was it. So thank you again, everyone, for being here. If you have questions or anything, I will post now a tweet with a recap of what we said today and with the resources we shared and, the tips and tricks and so on and so forth. So thank you again. I learned an awful lot. And if you have questions, just drop a message to me or Casey, and we will be super happy to reply to all your questions. Have a great day.